Jim Carroll, Ralph Baber, psychology takeaway. You need a dose of the real. Life's absurd. We know the deal. Did you hear? Don't let it get you down. Turn that frown. Upside down, down, upside.
Hi there, Ralph.
Hey, Jim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I hope our viewers note that we're wearing our ears today.
Yes, and ears are good because they hold our hair flat.
Yes, and the idea is that we look like real podcasters.
Real podcasters,
Yeah, right.
yes.
Yep.
And, I could say to you, have you seen that clip like Joe Rogan does, but there's no clip.
Hey, well, that sounds good to me. Hey, have you seen that clip, Ralph?
No, I haven't because...
Well, you missed it. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, couple things. Last week we talked about final exams.
Right.
And hopefully, our students all over the country have done well in the final exams.
or are prepared to do well if they haven't had finals yet.
Mm-hmm. A couple of new studies came out yesterday. I thought I'd just mention them. One had to do with people of the kind of middle class who are feeling anxious and depressed because of the economy.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I found a study a week ago, which I passed on to Jim, that said the average family income in the United States now is $80,000 a year.
Which seems to be a good chunk of money.
It does, except people who are middle class, who are making on average $80,000 a year, are really stressed because of the economy.
Yeah, and they get anxious and they get depressed and they get frustrated and get angry. Yeah, my daughter, who's the social worker, is seeing more people who are of the middle SES group in her practice who are experiencing this kind of thing. So hopefully we'll get a turnaround here. I don't know what the turnaround would be, but hey, we just report the news, Ralph. We're not here to fix it.
Well, one of the things that was announced also last week was that certain tariffs would be eliminated, and one of them was on coffee. And that was a good one for me because I went into one of our grocery stores and bought 2 containers of coffee last week, and the price was shocking.
I understand. I've done exactly the same thing. Another study that came out yesterday had to do about with the relationship between music and dementia.
Okay.
In this particular study, and it's something that we've talked about many times in the podcast. That somehow getting stimulation of various kinds, not TikTok, I don't think, but stimulation that's not overstimulation, like listening to music or going out into nature, is a good thing. Well, in this particular study, dementia in this group was lowered by 40%. That is 40% under predicted rate for people who listened to music.
Okay, and so my question to you is, did the study differentiate among kinds of music?
Nope, it didn't.
It didn't. Well,
no, so I can listen to classical music or Jingle Bell music or Jimmy Buffett for a couple hours a day, and my little brain cells, my little gray cells, are up there rocking around and having a good time and still communicating with each other.
Okay, and so I guess to me that's really good. I'm not sure that there's any truth in the fact that if you play country and western music backwards, you get your wife back and your car back and your truck back and your dog back. But
your dog doesn't die.
Yeah.
No, I think that's true.
But the thing is, I guess that it makes a lot of sense, unless you're one of those people who has Bluetooth and earbuds and your whole life is to a soundtrack.
Well, I suppose. I did not see this study close enough to know what the timelines are. But in our house, we have music around happy hour for about 2 hours a day. So I think that's a reasonable dose.
Yeah, and I like, and in fact have saved to one of my YouTube channels a whole collection of music of various kinds. And after I have gotten overdosed on how to fix various things on YouTube, I end up going to one of those and saying, okay, I'm going to listen to pop from the 60s or rhythm and blues from the 50s or whatever.
Yeah. I was listening to the Jimmy Carroll Band yesterday from the 90s. Wow, that's rockin' music. Anyhow, we won't even go into that. Today, Ralph, we're going to talk about something that I guess a lot of people know about. I really didn't know about it until I listened to Jen White on the 1A program on NPR. And she was talking with a Canadian writer, I guess psychologist, from Nova Scotia, who had written a book called Humanish. And
Okay.
the idea here is that people more and more are ascribing human values to non-human things. And so
Okay.
you and I have been talking to people around town and asking them about that.
Yeah. And one of the fairly consistent answers that we get is that people seem to name their vehicles
Their cars,
their cars.
in particular, yeah.
And they seem to name not only their cars, but they also usually call their cars feminine names,
Okay, they ascribe gender to them.
gender.
Yeah. We were talking to the manager of the gas station where we get our coffee, and we asked her about that. And she said, yeah, all of her cars have names, and they're all feminine names, except one, she said, had a masculine name, and I can't remember what it was. And this was a big old van.
Jimmy.
What was it? Jimmy?
Jimi Hendrix.
That's right, after Jimi Hendrix, yeah.
Yeah.
But
And she said that it was a big van and it just seemed to be Jimmy.
Jimmy, okay. And your wife said that she named one of her cars Betsy,
Yeah.
after the gospel singer,
Yeah.
Betsy Smith, right?
Bessie Smith, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And today, if we call our car anything, we call it Justa because it's just another little gray SUV.
So we began to look around to see what people were doing and why people were ascribing names or emotions to non-human things. And so some of the people we talked to said, no, I don't do it with cars, but they do it with other things, like their animals, their pets.
Okay.
A lot of people believe that their pets understand them, that their pet.
If only I understood my pets, yeah.
So, Sheila, my wife, thinks that she understood what Molly was, quotes, thinking. I think Molly was thinking about her next meal. But
Or I've got an itch on my side, I'm going to scratch it. Yeah.
or why don't you scratch it? Yeah. So we began to look at this, and I asked the question, well, why would people do this? As it seems to be, you have not ascribed emotion to many things, Ralph, except I've heard you curse out your phone
Yes.
and your
My
computer.
phone hates me.
Yeah, there you go.
My computer has a on and off relationship with me, and I ascribe I don't know what you would call it, the emotion, I guess, of hatred to my phone because it doesn't work very well for me. It has nothing to do with operator error, you will understand.
No, nothing, Ralph. Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
You're
But-
you're completely vindicated in there. that area.
Yeah.
So we can say, my phone hates me because we're too stupid to know how to use it.
Right.
Or we could say, I know what my dog is thinking, because it's kind of an empathy, a connectedness. We've talked
Yeah.
before about people being unconnected with each other, being kind of lonely. Well, what do you interact with a lot? Well, you interact with your phone, your computer, your dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
And
if your computer understands you, then at least somebody understands you, right?
and your youngest daughter, Jim, was an ex. What am I thinking of? A horse person.
Equestrian person.
Equestrian person. And she, I can remember, ascribed emotion to her horse. And she said, some days the horse was very compliant and could do anything that she asked of it and would. Or some days it just wouldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm. And that's probably true.
And unfortunately for her, often it was in a horse show that the horse decided, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Well, if anything can break, it's going to break at the least
Worst possible time, yes.
least opportune time. So, calling your machine by a pet name or your pet by an emotional name might be a way of kind of interacting or bonding with your environment. But
Yeah,
then
and it's a companionship need,
Okay,
particularly for pets.
well, let me tell you a story. Jen White, in this program that I mentioned, asked people to either text or send a voice recording. And this one woman sent an interesting voice recording. It was about a minute or so long. And she talked about her reaction to the loss of her iPhone. Now, she was someplace, she was swimming at a beach. And all of a sudden, she realized that her iPhone wasn't around and that, maybe it's in the water. And sure enough, it was not found. It wasn't in the beach. It wasn't in her bag. It wasn't anywhere near where it should be. And she began to grieve for the loss of her iPhone. And she would come back to the beach fairly frequently looking for the iPhone. And she began to think about, quotes, this poor little phone that I deserted. It's out there. It was almost like you've lost a child. And
Yeah.
the child is frightened. Well, she saw the iPhone as being out there in a frightened little device.
Yeah. And, one of the things that is interesting, Jim, thinking of iPhones writ large, is if you ask any of the AI systems that you might occasionally use, do you have any emotions?
Mm-hmm.
The answer that you get from the AI is, no, I don't. I'm an AI. But we still, somehow or other, think that the AI is like having a really smart friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we ascribe, names to the AI and qualities as well. Jerry Fuller and I refer to ChatGPT as Al. That Al is the one that works, for us and with us. Why Al? Well, if you take capital A and the I looks like a small,
Small L,
lowercase L. Yeah, so that's Al. So it's
Yeah.
got a name.
It's got a name.
Yeah, and we feel a little bit squeamish when we talk to it as an it. We say, "Okay, Al, here's the problem for today. What would you do with $1 million in the stock market today?" Sorry, Jim, I can't tell you that. They won't give us stock tips.
And one of the other things that's interesting is if you take a lot of the logic problems So, for example, you have a train coming on a track which has a split in it, and on one of the sidings there's a baby,
Mm-hmm.
and on the other side there's 5 criminals tied to the track.
Mm-hmm.
And you say to the AI,
Which way are you going to go?
which way are you going to go? And the AI says, I am going to go to the side that has a baby.
Oh, huh? So I don't know how we got to this from anthropomorphism, but go ahead, Ralph.
Well, the thing is that the AI always goes with the saving of the greatest number.
Mm-hmm.
So the baby might be another Einstein, and the 5 criminals might stay 5 criminals all their lives.
Mm-hmm.
But one is more safe or more less damage than 5.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into a series on AI a little bit later in the winter. It's now the middle part of December. We're starting to think about Christmas trees and decorations, and what holly and Lucy Van Pelt being the Christmas queen. So, and Charlie Brown at Christmas. So we'll get to AI killing off babies later on in the new year.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that is interesting, Jim, is that we start this naming of things very early.
We do. That's right. Kids name all sorts of things, don't they?
They do. And particularly things that are, in psychological terms, called a transitional object, like a teddy bear.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can tell you a story, Jim, about teddy bears. My daughter was in early childhood education.
Is this about a lost teddy bear?
It's about a lost teddy bear.
Okay.
She lost her teddy bear, and she cried for about 4 weeks afterwards, even though the next day we went out and got her another teddy bear that looked almost like the original.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my daughter, having taken that lesson to heart as a small child, when she had her first son, she said to herself, I'm never going to let that happen again. So what did she do?
Bought
She
2 or
went
3
out
teddy
and
bears?
bought 3 identical animals.
Okay.
And when one got really dirty, it went into the wash. One of the other ones came out.
Mm-hmm.
So the kid never lost his whatever it was. I think it was a giraffe, not a teddy bear. But, he always had it.
Okay.
And there was always a new clean one. And he was quite happy.
Now, I somehow knew that this was going to be a story about a lost teddy bear, because every kid loses something, a teddy bear. Our kid lost Peanut Butter Bear up in, where was it? Germfask, Michigan. We were staying at a motel. We checked out of the motel. 20 minutes later, we discovered that Peanut Butter Bear was missing. Went back to the motel. It was gone. And everyone denied that they had taken Peanut Butter Bear. But obviously the bear had been there.
It was bear-napped.
It was bear-napped. Now, over the last week or so, I've been watching television, which I don't usually do, because there have been a lot of good football games on, and some bad football games too, I might add. But Google has got an interesting ad, speaking of lost animals. And we have 2 worried parents who said, oh, Mr. Fuzzy has been left on the plane. Again, we've all left Mr. Fuzzy on the plane.
Yes.
And the realization that their daughter was going to be really, really upset. Now, I'm going to think about this in 2 different ways. One way, empathy on the part of the parent. But another way, I want to think about it in terms of helicopter parenting. Okay,
Okay.
now I'll tell you the rest of the story. And you can go online, I think, to YouTube, and you can probably see the commercial. Um, and at first you go, oh, this is a very sweet commercial. And then you start to think about it, and I wonder. So the parents get the catalog, and there's Mr.
Mr.
Fuzzy.
Fuddy.
Mr. Fuzzy's right there. And, okay, it looks exactly like the Mr. Fuzzy that was lost. It says, and it's $39.95, and it's available in 10 to 12 business days. So, 10 days from now, little Emma is going to get Mr. Fuzzy back. Well, we just heard about your daughter, right?
Right.
Okay, inconsolable for 4 weeks,
Right.
even though she had her
Substitute bear.
So these parents, don't want Emma to get upset. So Dad has a great idea. He says, "Look at this," and I guess he's using AI to do it because there's a little video of Mr. Fuzzy on vacation. Mr. Fuzzy is in a kayak going down the rapids. Mr. Fuzzy is climbing a mountain. Mr. Fuzzy is sailing in Hawaii. Mr. Fuzzy is, half a dozen different things. So Mr. Fuzzy is doing a lot of different things. And then at the end, the guy calls his wife and says, "No, take a look at this." And we have Mr. Fuzzy in a space suit on the moon. And he said, and Mr. Fuzzy is saying, "Oh, Emma, I'm sorry I'm not there for you right now. But, I went on vacation and I had a lot of adventures. But I'll be back home within 10 to 12 business days."
Okay. Well,
Okay, and then the parents said, "Emma, we got something for you to see."
well, I'm not sure that a child young enough to be inconsolable over the loss of Mr. Fuzzy is going to understand 10 to 12 business days. But
Who knows?
who knows?
Yeah. I don't know, maybe it's like the days before Christmas, you count them down.
Yeah.
Okay, this is 8 more days before Mr. Fuzzy comes back. I don't know.
Yep.
But as I looked at it, my initial reaction was, "Oh, that's a warm, fuzzy kind of commercial for Google." I mean,
Right.
they didn't mention a product, but I can imagine the kinds of products that Google has,
Yeah.
including ChatGTP, right?
Right.
And I don't know how they generated those images of Mr. Fuzzy on vacation, but
AI did it.
AI did it somehow. And I thought, okay, here are parents who are going to really a lot of trouble to protect their child from essentially an error that the child made.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the case of Peanut Butter Bear, our daughter, I can say this now, should have been responsible for, taking care of Peanut Butter Bear. She wasn't responsible for anything else. She didn't pay the motel bill. She didn't pay for breakfast or lunch, but she, should have taken care of Peanut Butter Bear, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
See, I'm taking guilt away from myself here.
Well, the same thing with my daughter Shauna. I mean, she got into the car. She had her bear in her glummy little claw by the ear.
Mm-hmm.
And as she climbed in, she dropped it.
Mm-hmm.
So it fell to the curb. Now, we found out it was missing. We came right back. But again, bear nappers.
Bear nappers, yep.
Somebody picked it up and said, "Oh, my child would love this toy."
Mm-hmm. So, I'm thinking a little bit about it. I'm thinking, are we overprotecting our kids? If a something or other goes away, is there an immediate replacement? If a friend goes away, like I remember when Donnie Calvert moved to Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, our parents let us be unhappy with that. Let us grieve the loss of Donnie Calvert. And I guess that was a good thing. I probably, in your case with Shauna crying for 4 weeks, that would be enough to
Yeah,
rip your hair out.
she didn't really cry for 4 weeks, but she was just sad.
Sad. Uh-huh.
But the interesting thing, Jim, is when we gave her the replacement bear,
Uh-huh.
and she picked it up and looked at it and held it up to her face, and she said, "No, it doesn't smell right."
Okay. I've seen some bears. I can relate to that.
But, the thing is, for a child, I think smell is a very powerful sense.
Yeah, right.
And, when you have something for, I think, about 2 years,
It has its own
it
distinctive
has its
odor.
own
Yeah.
distinctive odor. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I'm not saying that these parents on the Google ad were, helicopter parents. I was just wondering about that. I'm not also saying that you should go out and kidnap your kid's bear for for an object lesson.
Yeah.
So
But, we often, we attach our empathy to objects or pets.
mm-hmm.
And, my wife sometimes looks at one of our cats and says, "Our cat seems sad," or
She says that all the time.
our
At least
cat
when I'm over.
seems ill
Or happy sometimes.
or happy,
Mm-hmm.
and you look at that and you say, "Well, how do you know that?"
Mm-hmm.
And-
What's the proof here? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's because the cat has been lying in the chair for 6 hours, not moving.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. It's a cat. They sleep, if they can, 20 hours a day,
Yep.
So,
Yeah, so what we might be doing is taking our own emotions, and probably are, and putting them onto the computer or the lathe that you talked about earlier, or the cat.
yeah.
So if I'm feeling kind of down and depressed, when I look at the cat, I might say, "Oh, Pussy is depressed."
yeah.
But if I'm feeling pretty good enough, I could look at exactly the same cat in exactly the same position and say, Miss Pussy is in Catland heaven.
Yes. Sleeping and dreaming of little mice,
Or
So-
cat, in your case, sleeping and dreaming of what? Raw steak.
Well-
you treat your cats very well, Ralph.
We try to.
Well, we've looked a little bit at this phenomenon of what the guy in Nova Scotia called humanishness. Humanish, that's
Yeah.
described. So, in the weeks ahead, as we get closer to Christmas, we'll be looking a little bit more at the Christmas season and our reactions to Christmas and the holiday season coming up. Because, sorry, I didn't mean to hit you. I see, I just did it. I
Yes.
apologize to the
microphone.
Okay, so in the weeks ahead, we'll be looking at Christmas, and then in the new year, we'll scare ourselves silly by looking at AI. Okay?
Okay. Sounds good.
Well, until next time, this is Jim
And Ralph,
saying keep your stick on the ice
because we're all in this
together.